Welcome to The Fountain. This is season 2 and episode 5. And we're talking about developing a mighty prayer life. Be sure to follow us by liking and subscribing to our channel. Let's get started. The strategy that the enemy uses against most Christians is very effective. And that strategy is bluff. You see, Satan defeats and destroys people by the millions because most are not aware of his bluffing methods. In Hosea 4:6, it tells us, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." And the enemy is a deceiver, and bluff is deception. Our prayers put heat and pressure on the things he's holding in his grip, especially when we use fervent prayer and fasting. A weak and wimpy prayer is like a slow burner. It doesn't accomplish much. But when we pray fervently, we produce much power because the word tells us that the effectual, fervent prayer of the righteous avails much. So, because we can't see what's going on in the spirit world, we can't tell the damage we're doing to Satan's kingdom. But of course, he always tells us we're wasting our time. One crafty way Satan uses the weapon of bluff is when a person is healed. Satan has stolen thousands of healings that people have received by using his bluff tactic. Many times after a person is healed, Satan will bring a symptom back on that person and then suggest, "Oh no, it's back again, and I thought I was healed." Then the person will repeat those very words that Satan puts in his mind, never realizing where they came from. This gives the symptom a stronghold to gain back all that it had lost and even more. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour, whom resist steadfast in the faith. 1 Peter 5:8-9. Now, sometimes it takes determined faith to keep what we get from God. And he is pleased with us when we respect his word enough to use it against the devil until he has to flee. If the word says God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him, only as we seek him diligently do we receive the rewards of faith. Since without faith it is impossible to please God, Satan attacks our faith using the tool of bluff. The word bluff means to mislead or deceive, to impress, deter, or intimidate by showing more confidence than the facts support, to engage in a false display of confidence or strength. The book of Acts starts with 120 people in a large upper room, each one desperate for a personal revival, for the endowment of power that Jesus had told them they could have. Before those 10 days were over, you can be assured they each had to plow through times of doubt and discouragement with nothing to hold on to but the fact that Jesus had told them to stay until they received the power. After watching Jesus, they realized what real power was and that they didn't have it. I'm sure that each person had a battle at least once every day. As the countdown for breakthrough was coming near, most, if not all, of them had thoughts of giving up. What they didn't know was how hot things were getting for Satan. His hold on the souls of men was now too hot to handle. But there seemed to be no sign of breakthrough, and revival seemed farther away than ever. The forces of evil grinned in defiance and seemed as solid as a brick wall. But those saints just kept on fighting the good fight of faith. Then the day it happened started out like all the others, with no hint that it would be any different. Satan bluffed to the end, telling those saints the same thing he tells us. This praying is a waste of time. Nothing is going to happen. Look, you aren't feeling anything. You're too tired to keep this up. But the people had made a commitment to break through or die. They were giving their bodies as a living sacrifice, staking everything on the promise of the Father, which they had found in the book of Joel 2:28. God is for desperate people, and they were a people desperate for revival. Then suddenly they heard the sound of a strong rushing wind. As they started to run outside to see what the sound was, they realized it wasn't outside. It was inside. The glory of God filled the place with a holy mist, just as it had done in the tabernacle in the wilderness. Exodus 40:34-35. The people had punched a hole in the heavenlies so big that the building could not contain it. God's glory began to spill out over the entire town, drawing people like a giant magnet. In that upper room, the people's hearts exploded with joy. They looked at each other and saw a bright glow like a dancing flame over each person's head, and they were overwhelmed with the love they had for each other. Everyone looked so clear and clean and beautiful. Then things happened fast. None of them had ever experienced the glory of God like this. Praises to God arose from within them like an oil well gusher, and they were swimming in an ocean of the love of God. No one on earth could keep quiet in this. Praises echoed through the city as thousands were drawn to the place of his presence, the place where the fullness of joy was radiating. By the time the sun went down, 3,000 had been converted and baptized. The world was rocked by that revival. Now, Daniel was a pioneer of this kind of persistence in prayer. He mastered the art of seeking God. God didn't make him pray. Daniel chose to pray. As he prayed, he became dissatisfied with where he was spiritually and became desperate to hear from God for his people. So he set his heart to pray and deprive himself of any pleasant things for 3 full weeks. This decision made Satan nervous. As Daniel continued, Satan became terrified. He called up his evil helpers, and real war began. He knew that if they could stop Daniel from praying, they would continue to dominate the affairs of men. Daniel couldn't see the tremendous battle that was raging in the heavenlies above him, but every prayer he prayed was making it hotter for the devil, and Daniel's fasting was adding intensity to every word. The egg was getting mighty hot. Day 21 of Daniel's quest, the egg had become too hot for the devil. Suddenly, heaven's forces broke through, and Satan was totally defeated. His stronghold over the Middle East was broken, and Daniel was ushered into the place of God's secrets. God had fully found a man who would pray the kind of warfare prayer that would break up the demonic strongholds in Persia, which turns out to be the headquarters for their evil planning and operation. It was an awesome breakthrough. And while Daniel stood trembling, the angel spoke to him a message straight from God. O Daniel, a great man beloved. Daniel 10:11. What a word to get from heaven. What a reward for his diligent seeking. Hebrews 11:6. But Daniel got a lot more than that. God revealed to him things that would happen in the future, and Daniel became a pipeline from God to his people. Not only that, the angel pulled back the curtain of the spirit world and showed him and us a battle in the heavenlies. He explained that from the first day that Daniel had set his heart to hear from God, all heaven heard it and a spiritual battle began. Although Daniel knew nothing of the war that was raging, he never let up. Through all the attacks of Satan to bluff him out, he fought on, and it was the persistence of Daniel that brought the victory. Daniel also brought back valuable battle strategy for all the saints of all ages. When we decide to chasten ourselves to take hold of God, heaven hears and the battle begins. The outcome is up to us. As in a relay race, the baton is handed to us. Trouble is most of us don't take it very far. Daniel was motivated a lot by the writings of Jeremiah. As he read one day in chapter 29, he found something that seemed to jump right off the pages at him. After 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word toward you in causing you to return to this place. Verse 10. Wow, what a promise. And the time for its fulfillment was at hand. Then came the formula to make it happen. Then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. Verses 12-13. What a promise! It is one of my favorites in all the Bible, and it's just as valid today as it was the day Jeremiah wrote it. When Daniel read the prophecy, he realized that it was time for God's people to be liberated. He didn't just sit and claim it. He set his heart to pray it in. And I set my face unto the Lord God to seek by prayer and supplications with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. Daniel 9:3. It worked. He broke through big time. Doesn't stop there. Daniel also mastered the art of seeking God. He heard the still, small voice of God calling him to prayer, and he chose to respond to it. When thou sayest, seek my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Lord, will I seek. Psalm 27:8. If we will respond to that call as David did, we will get the results that David did. God will not make you or me a person of prayer. We will have to do it on our own. But when he sees us try, he will help us. So many Christians are ineffective for lack of knowledge of this fact. Many have been taught that praying people and intercessors are special people and are very rare. Some go so far as to say that praying when it's not easy is trying to please God by our works, by our performance, and that this displeases God. However, the fact is, trying to please God without prayer is works. God makes it clear throughout the Bible that he moves as we fervently pray. Only intercession will bring revival, and intercessor is not a special gift or calling. We are all called to be powerful intercessors who change our world. In the Christian walk, there are 3 basic things you will have to do on your own. Jesus explained them to us in Matthew 6. They are giving, praying, and fasting. Most Christians agree that any giving we do is on our own. God won't make us do it. But when it comes to praying or fasting, we wait for God to call us to it or make it easy for us or even force us to do it. You see, there is much more land to be possessed, and Jesus is calling us up to that place by him. He died that we might live in total victory, which we will find in the prayer closet. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Psalms 91:1. To come to this place of power, this place of effectiveness, we must cross a wilderness. And this wilderness is the place where God molds us. It's an instrument God uses to get us into the promised land, the place of his favor.